let's talk about the new NFC leaders, the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds.
Slow down.
What did you think of the draft, man?
I mean, we talked about it a little bit pre-draft. I really wanted them to get an edge rusher. And the dream scenario happened, in my opinion. I thought Jalen Walker was going to go 8th overall.
Yep.
So you get, in my opinion, probably the second best edge, maybe third best edge, but he's also can play off-ball linebacker.
Yep.
He's really versatile. He can do a little bit of everything. And so that was not the guy that I thought you guys were going to get because I didn't think he would be there. I thought maybe Michael Williams, maybe even Mike Green. Mike Green ended up falling because of the off-the-field issues, but the Ravens ended up getting like an absolute steal with him, in my opinion.
Of course, the Ravens always win.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, the Eagles also, in my opinion, got Jahad. Like, he was one of my favorite players, and I somehow got him at 31. So that was broken, in my opinion. But back to the Falcons. The only reason I didn't give him an amazing grade is because James Pierce. I thought you guys gave up way too much to move up to get James Pierce, to give up a 2026 first. And they also had some like second and third round pick swaps as well. So it's like it was a huge price tag for me to move up to get James Pierce. And hey, if he's the next Trey Hendrickson with like tons of like sack totals every single year, then it might work out and it might be a great pick in the end. But he's weak in the run game to me. So he's not a complete player. So he might be like a situational pass rusher. You do have Ebiketie, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Ebiketie.
Ebiketie. Okay, yeah, he does. I mean, he's got some good run. He can set the edge. He can do some of the things that maybe Pierce can't. But that's what might end up resulting in them kind of swapping off downs, and depending on the situation. But I think as far as hitting the needs, like number one thing that you needed was pass rushers. And you got Jalen Walker and James Pierce. So from that standpoint, you hit the nail on the head with the needs. And if Pierce ends up being a 5-6 time All-Pro, like it's not going to matter that you gave up a 2026 first, especially if you end up picking towards the end of the first round. So
Pierce is a guy that can also get interceptions from the linebacker position. I like that. What we get with Nate Lamont on top of all of that. To the point, I think where the Falcons didn't do that, you already have Rukaroro, right? He's really a guy that's going to be setting the edge and protecting in that run game, right? You already have Snacks. He's going to be run blocking. You got David Adeyemata, run defense right there. So they got the run guys already. Braylon Trice, you don't even know what this guy is. He's supposed to be, he can pass rush and, protect on the run. So you kind of had those pieces where you needed these NASCAR speedy linebackers to go get the quarterback like you have with Leonard Floyd. You needed that, like that NASCAR package the Giants used to have. I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take out the draft capital given up, then yeah, I probably would have given them an A.
Exactly.
But I always take it like you're supposed to take into account like draft capital gained or given up when you do draft grades. So I think it was a lot to give up because, you lost your second round pick.
We did. And
then the 2020, if you end up winning the Super Bowl, who cares? But if it ends up being like a top 15 pick again, or like just even picking 20 to 25, it's a lot to give up. I do love Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame though, in round 3. So that's another great pick. That's
steal of the third round.
Yep. He was one of my top safeties, probably my third safety third or fourth safety. He's a great player and he's a ball hawk. Does a little bit of everything for sure. So I mean it's hard to give someone like an A+ grade when you end up only having like 5 picks in the entire draft.
Sure.
Right.
So from that standpoint, that's why I ended up giving them I would say like on the edge of a B, but I also gave the Falcons a B- only because of how much was given up for James Pierce. But as far as filling the needs, that's 100% what you needed. You didn't need a wide receiver. And you have, Nate Landman's a really, really underrated player. I have him in a couple IDP leagues, and I mean, guy that I picked up for nothing and has been like a really, really good player. And who's the guy that's always injured on the Falcons, but is
Troy
like a really
Anderson.
good
Nate Lamont and Troy Anderson are always injured. They just take turns. Turns.
So if Troy Anderson comes back healthy this year, like honestly, you never know. Like that's a really good linebacker duo. And Jalen Walker, we talked about, can play some off-ball linebacker. And even James Pierce can probably, a little bit and back up into the coverage. So that is an underrated part about James Pierce's game, being able to like drop back in coverage and actually hold his own. So I'll definitely give you that for sure.